The Colorado Department of Human Services is making headlines again this week as the state faces a potential $1 million sanction. The fine results from federal authorities identifying that the state made changes to the SNAP food assistance program without seeking prior approval. Okay, this just adds to the long list of things we've been talking about the Human Services Department. Not a fun time for John Hickenlooper as he looks at more problems for this department.
Yes, when John Hickenlooper releases his biography, which was announced this week he's going to be writing with Max Potter, his former speechwriter, we're assuming that Human Services will not have a very big chapter in it because this cannot, as it unfolds, page after page, it just looks worse and worse. Now, some of the food stamp problems date long before Hickenlooper even came in. That's always been a troubled area since they had the whole computer mess with CMBS. It has been disastrous, but it is not looking better. So we have the letters now from the feds, we have the letters from the county, and we have the letters from the legislators. So I can say it's going to be a long, hot summer at Human Services.
Todd, by itself, this seems like a fairly light issue, but then when you add it to, just like Patty said, all everything stuff come down, does the governor need to make a move here fairly quickly to stop the bleeding, or can this go away and him continue just to make some modest changes in the department?
Well, I hope it doesn't just go away for the simple fact that at the end of the day, and look, I'm not rooting for someone to be a political winner or a loser here, but there's credibility on the stake, or there's credibility at stake here. Basically, the governor's credibility versus the credibility of those 84 or 86 people who signed on to this letter. Now, if the Hickenlooper administration has bent the rules at all, let's just say, well, maybe they learned a little something from this presidential administration. So I find it kind of ironic that this president, who's just being backhanded by the Supreme Court in these 8-1, 9-0 rulings, that now all of a sudden they're going through rules with a fine-tooth comb. But look, back to the credibility issue. The political philosopher Omar in The Wire said, "When you come for the king, you best not miss." And I'm very worried that if the General Assembly comes at John Hickenlooper like this, they make these accusations, and then on the same day that Hickenlooper backs his man, we get this bombshell that there's $1 million in potentially these back payments, and the overall liability extends as far up to $4 million. Somebody's got to come. I'm not rooting for someone to win or lose, but someone has got to win or lose in this situation, and it would be a shame, in my opinion. I'm not rooting for Hickenlooper to lose, but it would be a shame if the General Assembly turns out to be the boy who cried wolf in this situation.
You know, we've had political philosophy quoted from that seat before. Usually it's 18th century French philosophy, but now we can quote The Wire. That's a pretty cool range. I like that. Very nice, Todd. Craig, what do you think? Does the governor need to do something about this? Is really is there much of a future for Reggie Bika as the head of the department? Can he survive this?
I think there are different dimensions to it, some of them political, and I think Governor Hickenlooper will win this pushing match. It reminds me of Barack Obama defending the VA chief. Eventually it may go, but right now I don't think the Congress, in the case of the VA, or the state legislature really does have the fortitude to stand up to the governor. And I think the governor will win this pushing match, and he's feeling his oats. Look, he's survived a very tough election, and writing a book about him, it's not preposterous to think of him on the national stage because Colorado's a swing state, and he's riding some waves that are really influencing the electorate, gay marriage being one of them. Marijuana, even though we know he's kind of played a double game on that, people could say, look, this guy is from Colorado, enough said. And then maybe even on capital punishment, where he went on the line and stopped Dunlap from being executed. But look what happened in Nebraska. That's pretty startling this week. And I know we're going to talk about the Aurora Theater case, but John Hickenlooper is kind of flexing his muscles now, and in that game of push and shove with the legislature, I think he's going to win. And part of it is most people out there don't even know how to pronounce Bika or who he is or what it's about, despite it being talked about around this table.
So there's at least 5 to 10 more people who know how to pronounce it now. So
Right.
that's great. Natasha, what do you think Hickenlooper's response to this should be at this latest juncture? We've seen his response to the letter from the lawmakers and the mental health clinics, but this particular violation, again, $1 million is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not something that's going to cripple the state's economy. What do you think?
But it's something, this needs to become a focal point of his second term, absolutely. One of the things that concerns me is that he said that he was surprised by the letter he got from the legislator, which now has turned into 2 letters from other interested parties as well, because said he was surprised about this fine that was coming down from the feds as well. How are these 2 people who are in charge of this so surprised by the things that they are very much overseeing? So if they are surprised by this, it makes me wonder what other things are falling between the cracks. And let's keep in mind what the Department of Human Services does. Like, these are important programs. There are children, there are families at risk that need these programs. And when we fail them, we fail all those constituents as well. You know, I just reconnected with a source that I'd worked on the story 8 years ago about foster care problems. Those problems still exist today, and they were easy fixes. So this may actually not be John's complete fault. You know, I don't think it's easy to like point blame on one of these people, but it's something they inherited and they have to fix. So whether that means a change of leadership, whether that means systematic reform within that department, something needs to happen, because I'm getting sick of talking about these issues year after year after year.